Yes, the title sounds too good to be true and honestly might get me cancelled by anyone on earth who actually liked this movie. The Emoji Movie was this close to being a pop culture phenomenon. I'm talking Wreck-It Ralph levels of potential. I'm talking Inside Out but with smartphones. I'm talking huge cultural impact, memes, merch, the like. And instead, we got a Wreck-It Ralph wannabe with a dash of Inside Out, except it's a piece of shit. Its Rotten Tomatoes score, a dismal 6%, which feels generous once you watch this Rotten Tomato. Critics called it everything from a soul-crushing disaster to a force of insidious evil, which is hilarious considering that this is a movie about emojis. And let's not forget a major highlight of this movie. Somehow they convinced Sir Patrick Stewart, knighted British acting royalty, to voice an actual turd. But despite being a cinematic mess, this movie was one surgical fix away from being much better. A compelling, relevant, actually meaningful story about identity and expression in a digital world. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what went wrong and how I will fix it. Now, the Emoji Movie looked like it was set up for success. The year 2017 was smartphone culture. Emojis were everywhere. Brands were embracing them, teens were overusing them, parents were on the bandwagon. The timing seemed perfect. And the movie could have been a fun, decent exploration about how these little icons fit into our actual lives. We could have seen how Textopolis affects Alex, the kid who owns the phone. We could have seen a deeper analysis about how emojis reflect identity, expression, and emotion in the real world. But the filmmaker said, no thanks, that sounds like effort. And instead they delivered a story that feels like this. Inside Out, but dumber. Wreck-It Ralph, but without charm. What if we take a pretty solid idea with potential and just absolutely tank it? Well, that's what happens in the world of capitalism. This movie was a creative vision, but it was more the studio saying, hey, emojis are popular, make us money. And it worked. $217 million against a $50 million budget, despite critics ripping it to shreds. So yeah, it wasn't a box office bomb, just a storytelling disaster. The Emoji Movie follows Jean, a meh emoji who lives in a city inside Alex's phone called Textopolis, which, pardon me, is a city where emojis have jobs, like literal jobs. Punch in, make your face, text message, punch out. And Jean's whole life goal? To be normal, not unique, not expressive, not complex. Nope. He wants to be a single emotion forever. After one bad performance, and I mean bad, Homeboy has a full meltdown. He gets labeled a malfunction by Smiler, who leads the text message center, and Jean gets scheduled for deletion. So he sets off on a quest to find someone to fix him. And the quest he takes? Well, it earned a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, yikes. Critics called it very, very, very bad. And honestly, they're right. It's so bad, the apps we use to kill time on the toilet should sue Sony Pictures Animation for defamation. It was enough to make some people stop watching after 25 minutes. Or at least myself. This movie is cringy with a lack of deeper meaning. Well, on second thought, I shouldn't say that, because the true subtext is that this is basically one long advertisement for the smartphone. Every scene feels like a product placement dream. Candy Crush, Just Dance, Dropbox, Twitter Birds. It's like watching someone scroll their home screen for 90 minutes. Though not as bad as when I do that. And the jokes? Oh lord. The jokes are so bad, it feels like they were written by a 40-year-old marketing executive trying to relate to the youths. Don't believe me? Watch these.
What kind of business?
Monkey business.
Alex sends me next to this guy.
Should we wash our hands?
What happened?
I know it was an accident. We all have accidents.
You're so soft, Pope.
See? I warned you, but the worst sin of this film? It makes you want to believe it's good. I mean, the idea was good. It was a good fit for the market. But the execution was just cynical, hollow, and creatively bankrupt. It feels like watching something with potential actively choose mediocrity. So let's talk about Jean. His desire? He wants to live his purpose, to be a meh emoji. That's it. and he gets it. After watching the full movie, which I had no desire to do, but I only did it for this YouTube video, I thought, shouldn't he want something greater? He's the only emoji who feels more than one emotion, who does more than what he's supposed to. He stands out in a sea of emojis who each have one notable trait. Other emojis, even his own parents, shun him because he can't keep himself straight. No pun intended. That's literally a superpower. We have clear conflict that works against the protagonist's desire. And the story says, no, that's bad. Fix it. This is the fatal flaw that poisons the whole story. The film wants to say, be yourself, but its main character spends 90% of the movie trying to be anything but. So when Gene finally gets a chance to do his job, it goes horribly wrong. So Alex selects Gene as the emoji to text to his crush, Addie. At the last minute though, Gene has a full-blown meltdown, and what happens is embarrassing for both him and Alex, needless to say. Smiler labels Gene as a malfunction and tries to have him deleted, but Gene manages to escape with the help of high five and outcast emoji. Okay, so at least there are some stakes here. In the loser lounge where High Five resides, Gene learns that he must seek help from a hacker to fix himself or else his life will be over. There's our inciting incident. It seems like this is a pathetic attempt to weave two plots into one. So we have Gene, who is shunned and develops a crush on a girl, and we have Alex, who also develops a crush on a girl and talks to her through his phone, where we find Textopolis. Gene becomes kind of like his alter ego, and this could have worked if there was something greater at stake. Gene immediately springs into action after learning that he can enlist help from an emoji named Jailbreak, spoiler alert, who is a princess emoji disguised as a tech whiz. The first big turning point occurs when Alex believes that his phone is messed up. Smiler blames Gene for this, as he is the one who malfunctioned and is seemingly responsible for Alex's phone going completely haywire, embarrassing him in front of Addie. Over time, Gene and Jailbreak also begin to develop feelings for each other. A bit cliched, and despite feeling original, the corporate product placement only worsens this. We have them step their way through Just Dance and sail their way through Spotify on water waves. Oh, so sound turns into water now. Quite the choice. With Jailbreak's no longer secret identity, a princess tired of stereotypes. The low point occurs alongside the second big turning point, when Jailbreak admits that she wants to venture on into the Dropbox cloud instead of being with Gene. This occurs at the same time she manages to successfully reprogram Gene, making him a true meh emoji as he originally desired. Unfortunately, it just doesn't hit because we have Gene achieving his object of desire, only to go back and become the exact same character as he was at the start of the movie. The crisis. With just a few minutes until Alex's appointment, Gene has an identity crisis as he faces deletion by Smiler's army of bots, despite opposition from the other emojis. Now, Gene doesn't want to be this way, but he doesn't think that anything else is acceptable. Then Alex reveals that he wants to delete the entire phone, erasing all the emojis and Textopolis with it. The climax. Gene, determined to save his world, finally gets a chance to act like himself. He sends a text message to Addie, who loves it, and he saves Textopolis. By the following action, Gene does go through some change, but it's not enough. He sees who he is truly meant to be, but it's exactly the same as his old self. The only difference is more accepted by his community and by Alex. He lives his purpose. That's the good news. The bad news? The resolution. Gene, the emojis, Alex and Addie party. Smiler relegated to the loser lounge with braces? Crooked in more way than one. Happily ever after. The end. It just isn't on the respectable level of Inside Out or Wreck-It Ralph, where the protagonists go through a much more obvious, absolute, and irreversible change. And no, falling in love is not a good enough change. Along the way, Gene's journey is a cringy roller coaster and boat ride full of bad toilet humor and off-putting use of popular mobile apps. Seriously, with the help of Jailbreak, Gene makes his way through Just Dance and across Dropbox. The movie could have been somewhat solid if Gene's journey was better executed and not so dependent on Candy Crush and princesses riding Twitter birds. Yeah, that Disney mockery cringe stuff or whatever. Is that even a thing? And by the end of this show, he's still the same character. Society just stops bullying him. Not much of an arc if you ask me. Alright. Gloves. Scalpel. Time for surgery. Now, just a disclaimer, honestly, this patient is too far gone to be restored to greatness. After surgery, his life will at best be good, but the whole premise is too difficult to work with and make truly memorable. The reason, corporate placement, cringiness, those affect this movie's foundation so badly that it never stands a chance at being memorable. It just gets better to a degree. But we can still try our best to improve the story quality as much as possible. In this fix that I'm proposing, Gene should not want to be normal. Gene should want to escape a world that demands he be, or at least be allowed to be extraordinary in this digital world. Boom. Instead of being a scared malfunction begging to conform, Gene becomes a dissenter, a rebel, someone who sees society around him and says, "No thanks, I don't belong in one box. Nobody does." Now we're cooking. Under this new framework, Textopolis becomes a dystopia. It looks like a utopia and a fun workplace on the outside, but deep down, it's anything but. Smiler becomes a tyrannical enforcer, not just an overbearing boss. She punishes emojis who dissent against the system or are not popular enough with Alex. Emojis who may have more than one trait. High Five becomes a washed-up former celebrity crushed by the system. Jailbreak becomes a revolutionary, not a twist princess, but rather an underground freedom fighter. Suddenly, every app becomes an allegory. Candy Crush equals pattern and conformity. Just Dance equals expression and individuality. Piracy app equals rebel territory. The Cloud equals the promised land. Gene realizes that emojis can't truly express themselves in this system. They need freedom. Now, Gene isn't trying to be fixed. His multiple expressions aren't a malfunction. They're evolution. They're the next stage of emojis. Suddenly, the climax becomes more powerful. Smiler launches a total factory reset to erase the virus of individuality. Gene risks deletion to send Addie a message that isn't happy, sad, or even meh. It's everything all at once. But that's what I would fix. What about you? What single change do you think could have saved the Emoji Movie? Or, despite my best efforts, is it completely unsalvageable? Let me know in the comments and stay tuned for the next video.